Welcome to the 5 Ws podcast. What happens when an unstoppable force, the future, meets an immovable object, our skills, knowledge and experience? Were our brains wired differently, we would be more able to imagine the future as something other than a linear continuation of the past. The fact we are biologically predisposed not to see what is coming is called comfort. Summers 2012. When artificial intelligence will soon be able to write, in inverted commas, structured, progressive, scientifically verified training programs, performance analysis will be conducted via an app with data, video and personalised feedback available seconds after the performance, and coaching can be conducted remotely. What is it about this process, a biopsychosocial approach to athlete development and coaching behaviours, that has not only allowed me to reflect upon my personal practice, but project forward the next 10 years? Summers 2012 suggests thinking like a futurist. That is, adopting a wide-angle perspective on any issue you face. You must develop your ability to step outside the particulars of your situation and ask, how does this work? Which is to say, before you get practical, you have to get philosophical. In this episode, I'm exploring Gardner's 2007 5 Minds framework in an attempt to gain a deeper understanding of the complexities of strength and conditioning coaching and my own professional practice journey, and how the continued integration of this framework will future-proof my development as a research practitioner. The 5 Minds of the modern strength and conditioning coach. According to Green 2012, the pathway toward mastery of a craft should take an ordered route through 2 distinct phases: the apprenticeship phase and the creative active phase. Under these 2 phases, clear goals and corresponding activities can be identified for professional development. During the apprenticeship phase, the aim is to develop the knowledge and skills that will lay the foundation for a coach's future development. Coaches entering the profession initially need to develop the key disciplinary knowledge and skills, i.e. the who, what and how, required for effective strength and conditioning coaching. And this is generally facilitated by formal means of education. However, it would seem that there is less emphasis on the psychosocial aspects of S&C coaching. Yet, this is seen as a critical component of effective practice by coaches. Martinez 2004. As practical coaching knowledge is predominantly gained through experience, mastery of the coaching craft requires repeated exposure to the S&C environment and will take considerable time to achieve. Self-reflection on current performance has been identified as being central to experience-based learning theories by facilitating the transfer of experiences to coaching knowledge. Wertner and Trudel 2006. Gardner outlined 5 key areas of intelligence that he claimed would affect the capacity of individuals to achieve consistent success in a range of professions that are at a premium in today's world. The 5 Minds framework, disciplined, synthesizing, creative, respectful and ethical, is reasonable to apply within the coaching environment, because coaches need to demonstrate highly developed capacities across a range of competency areas to improve athletic performance in a dynamic social context. Jeffries 2010. Discussing this framework within my own coaching may offer insights into what may be considered effective S&C coaching, where further advancements could be made, and offer self-reflection points for you on your own coaching journey. A brief overview of the framework is as follows. The disciplined mind. That is someone who has mastered at least one way of thinking and is a distinctive mode of cognition that characterises a specific scholarly craft or profession. The synthesising mind, which represents the ability to take information from a range of disparate sources and through objective understanding and evaluation put this together in a way that can be understood by a range of groups. The creative mind, which builds upon synthesis and discipline to break new ground, to put forth new ideas, pronounce new ways of thinking, and pose unfamiliar questions. The respectful mind involves the ability to understand and work well with others. And finally, the ethical mind, which ensures that work serves purposes beyond self-interest and works to the furtherance of the greater good. The disciplined mind. According to Gardner 2007, the disciplined mind involves the development of effective practice via the application of the skills associated with a scholarly profession. Given the diverse nature of S&C coaching, it is unlikely that coaching can be completely mastered from the viewpoint of a single discipline. Jeffries 2010. A challenge for the coach is to identify the disciplines required to master the profession and ensure that they become skilled in each of these. Jeffries 2014. Worthman and Trudel 2006 classify the knowledge required for effective coaching into two types: sport-specific or content knowledge and coaching pedagogical knowledge. If this is applied to strength and conditioning, content knowledge can be thought of as the principles underpinning various training methods, for example, physiology, biomechanics, scientific evidence. Whereas coaching pedagogy looks at the quality of teaching and instruction, i.e. psychosocial, and how that is used in delivering the training output. Undoubtedly, both elements need to be addressed if a coach is to be effective. Strength and conditioning education is grounded in the hard sciences, physiology, biomechanics, Geraghty 2010, and which is seen by coaches as essential for effective S&C coaching, Martinez 2004. The discipline of science includes the skill sets facilitating the systematic analysis of experimentally derived data to draw conclusions. This enables the coach to analyse information and data effectively to make informed training decisions. Jeffrey 2010. Undoubtedly, our current understanding of human performance has significantly influenced the methods used by strength and conditioning coaches. And the disciplined mind of science allows a coach to make rational decisions when faced with training challenges. Scientific knowledge is also associated with evidence-based practice, a key tenet of the S&C profession supported by the UK SCA and the NSCA, Jeffries 2014. Indeed, it could be argued that coaches without this knowledge will be unable to differentiate the quality of information, Gardner 2007. Whether science alone is sufficient to enable a coach to master their craft fully is unlikely, although open to debate. Athletic performance depends on the interaction of a large number of interconnected factors. It cannot be explained by a simple systems approach where a given input will result in a given output. Jeffries 2007. In this way, it must always be remembered that effective S&C coaching is not simply about the physical. What must be recognised and deliberately planned is the quality, breadth and depth of coaching psychosocial behaviours. It is commonplace for coaches to become obsessed with sets, reps, load and other program design variables and ignore the day-to-day delivery of the program. There must be a recognition in knowing what to do is underpinned by how to do it. It should be evident that there is a strong need for coaches to develop psychosocial skills, knowledge and experience to supplement the physical or the scientific knowledge. Competency in these skills was seen as critical by experienced strength and conditioning coaches in establishing competence within the profession. Martinez, 2004. What is clear is that S&C coaching cannot be mastered from a single disciplinary standpoint, and that a multidisciplinary approach is required to enable a coach to fulfill their potential. The development of such interdisciplinary skills allows for the conceptual blending of knowledge from a range of disciplines and subject areas. A strength and conditioning coach with interdisciplinary skills, the physical, the psychological, the socio-environmental, will have an enhanced ability for critical thinking when looking at a given problem and greater options for problem solving. However, this can only happen when the coach is able to integrate this range of knowledge effectively, which requires the development of skills associated with the synthesizing mind. Jeffries, 2014. The synthesizing mind takes information from a range of sources, evaluates that information objectively, and puts it together in a way that is understood and applied by others. This ability reflects a key role of the S&C coach, who must be able to draw upon multiple sources of information to design, develop, implement, monitor, and evaluate training programs in a dynamic social setting with a diverse range of people, wants, needs, and focuses. Individuals desire coherence, integration, and the ability to synthesize information. The ability to draw connections between seemingly disparate disciplines, the physical, the psychological, and socio-environmental, results in the development and application of training systems that can consistently deliver results. Gardner, 2007. This ability to synthesize is crucial to strength and conditioning coaching effectiveness, allowing for an integrated and systematic approach. Although the synthesizing mind has always been important, it is likely that this focus will have an ever-increasing importance as the amount of accumulated knowledge in the field of S&C continues to grow. Jeffries, 2014. Academic study of strength and conditioning will often encourage students to integrate the latest findings of empirical research with less emphasis on the logistics of delivery. Coaching, unlike laboratory research, does not occur in isolation and cannot be reduced to a few discrete variables. Jeffries, 2014. It has been argued that context, where practices are put into execution, is necessary to bring light the limitations of research ideas and systems, as daily challenges of human behaviour are encountered. When considering this, my hope for developing this podcast and the narratives developed during the conversations highlight the different logistics, context and execution of practice from a wide perspective. For example, the athlete, coach, academia. The creative mind. Whereas the role of the synthesizing mind is to use current knowledge to set up effective working practices, the goal of the creative mind is to extend knowledge, ruffle the contours of the genre, and guide a new set of practices along new and previously unanticipated directions. Strength and conditioning coaches have claimed that the creative process, for example, learner activities, program design, athlete engagement, lies at the heart of coaching. And it can be argued that the creative mind has been evident throughout the development of the strength and conditioning profession. Gardner 2006. Creativity still plays an important role in the everyday work of the strength and conditioning coach, with one of the challenges being the monotony of the training environment and the law of accommodation, where the productiveness of any training input will decrease over time. So that's Skorsky and Kramer 2006. Coaches are required to provide training inputs over extended periods and face not only the physiological accommodation, but also the psychological challenge of maintaining the motivation and development of athletes. The deliberate planning, delivery and reflection of biopsychosocial approaches can assist in the continued engagement and drive of athletes. Creativity requires a base of disciplinary knowledge, which allows creative solutions to be grounded in logic. Yet, innovation often lies at the boundaries of disciplines, and coaches grounded in a single disciplinary approach may not be able to adapt to a more creative mindset when needed. Gardner 2007. Once again, this highlights the advantage of a biopsychosocial approach through a coach evaluating what is being presented, for example, athlete training readiness, the methods they will employ, and self-reflecting upon the training environment for developing the athlete. This questioning of methods, approach and coaching philosophy will often lie at odds with evidence-based principles of scientific discipline. Yet this approach needs to be integrated into educational opportunities. Hence, within my doctoral journey, a strong desire to use the podcast and professional workshop as a means of informal knowledge exchange. Encouraging coaches to seek creative solutions to problems encountered within the constantly changing challenges of the training environment should be at the forefront of emerging coaches to develop a wide skill set that allows nuance, flexibility, and a unique perspective that each athlete can be developed optimally. Despite the need for creativity, the ability to generate creative solutions and push boundaries can be difficult for many coaches. It can be argued that the creative mind works effectively with uncertainty, surprise, and continual challenge, which often lies at odds with the synthesizing mind, where the motivation comes from order, closure, and equilibrium. Gardner 2007. Despite the divergent nature of the creative and synthesizing minds, my hypothesis is the expert coach delivers great coaching utilizing all 5 aspects of the framework using a biopsychosocial lens. The respectful mind is associated with the ability to understand and effectively work with others, and always remembering that S&C practitioners coach people, not programs. Jeffries 2014. Geraghty 2012 suggests the quality of the coach-athlete relationship will affect athlete performance and the subsequent overall success of the training environment. A key skill of the strength and conditioning coach is the ability to develop an environment that encourages athletes to achieve. Inspiring athletes to reach high levels while relating to them at their current level is a challenging task which requires the skills of the respectful mind. An often overlooked but critical feature is the execution of the training plan, which involves elements that depend on the coach's pedagogical skills. These skills include the presentation and explanation of the plan, the quality of instruction and feedback, the quality of error detection, the acceptance of the plan by athletes, and the athlete's motivation in carrying out the plan. Jeffries 2010. Interestingly, and quite contrary to the scientific mind, the many athlete presentations, for example, motivation, training readiness, social interactions, that coaches come across will be based on emotional rather than rational reasons. And coaches who are able to work on these emotional and rational levels can have a major advantage. Jeffries 2014. Walsh, Billick and Peterson 1998 suggest that players tend to respond best to a coach who demonstrates a definite ability and willingness to help them achieve their particular goals and aspirations. Similarly, in other spheres of coaching and in business, knowledge alone cannot predict success, which suggests that the greatest problems facing professionals do not relate to their technical competencies but to relationships. Hyatt and Gottlieb 2009. Identifying and seeking to address the skills of the respectful mind could ultimately elevate a coach's success. Despite the importance of the respectful mind to S&C coaches, these are seldom well covered in coach education and certification programs. Jeffries 2014. Jeffries 2014 argues that the skills of the respectful mind become even more critical as S&C coaches progress through their careers, moving from novice to expert coach. Critical to the success of an organisation, effective leaders draw on and develop the skills of the respectful mind to outline a clear vision and build effective working relationships and structures that enable staff to work together toward the realisation of the vision. Maxwell 2008. The ethical mind is associated with making decisions that are in the best interest of society as a whole rather than self-interest. This requires that coaches and coach educators set the highest standards of ethical behaviour. It is often said that the character of an organisation will closely reflect the character of the leader. And similarly, the S&C programme will ultimately reflect the character, beliefs and philosophies of the coach. Strength and conditioning coaches are in leadership positions. And as leaders of athletes, the S&C coach needs to model ethical behaviour. Although this should be self-evident, increasing pressures, for example, winning at all costs, parental pressure, wide variety of influences on athletes, can tempt or coerce coaches into unethical behaviour. It is therefore imperative that coaches truly align with an athlete-centred philosophy and place the biopsychosocial needs of the athlete at the forefront of their decision-making. Unethical actions will always negatively affect athletes, internal and external stakeholders, the long-term credibility of the coach, the reputation of the programme, and subsequently the profession. Jeffries 2010. When we consider coach development or seek to enhance personal practice, the focus leans towards content knowledge, the sciences, or a deeper understanding of the methodologies, for example, Olympic weightlifting plyometrics. A biopsychosocial approach, and more widely the 5 minds framework, allows a greater command of skills and knowledge. Cushion, Armour and Jones 2003 assert that it is time to extend our concept of learning how to coach if we are to develop imaginative, dynamic and thoughtful coaches. Adopting the 5 minds approach within biopsychosocial delivery provides a structure around which current practice can be evaluated and professional development opportunities identified. Jeffries 2014. Correspondingly, coach education needs to extend beyond typical content knowledge and incorporate domain-specific aspects of delivery that impact coach and athlete performance. The psychosocial, pedagogical, socio-environmental. I hope this episode has given you plenty of food for thought and opportunities to self-reflect on your own practice. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the podcast. And just before you go, I will leave you with this quote to frame your self-reflection. The source is unknown. The best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. The second best time is now. Are you willing to plant a tree today and implement the 5 minds framework into your practice?